brief overview of Innova Engineering. So first of all, once you've installed and have a valid license for Innova Engineering, you can open up Innova Engineering. I'm going to go File, Open, and just so we've got populated data, I'm going to open up this example project, which comes with every install. In this case, I'm going to open up example project 3. So this just means we've got a populated database with all the data, and we can just run the calculations. So what I just opened there was a .ing file. You can see here .ing. That is the file structure that Innova Engineering uses. And each of these ing files would represent a run or a BHA with the given parameters within that. So for an engineering calculation that you would run, you would have to set up a different ing file for each separate BHA, casing run, whatever that may be. So what I'm going to show you is we've taken a pre-existing ing file from the standard install. I'm going to save it as to my desktop. I'm going to call it test1. And now that I have that saved on my desktop, I can then make any edits to this. It's a totally separate copy to the previous one, and I could change the depths, for example, or components within my drill string if I wanted to. So that is a way of duplicating your ing files very quickly, making small amendments, and it means you don't have to start a fresh ing file and build it up from scratch. Now I'm going to run through the brief user interface of Innova Engineering. So the main screen that you'll be met with, the menus, and then you have the tabs within the main user interface. So we've got drill string, well geometry, and fluids is the first one. This is where you input your drill string, and for each component in that drill string, you have a component details. So for the bit, for example, we have inputs here. For the rotary steerable tool, we have different inputs. So you build these up and input the component details to represent your string and the individual component aspects of them. Once you've completed that, then you put in your wellbore geometry. This is the inner diameter of the wellbore that you're running your drill string through. So it doesn't care about casing strings that we no longer represent the ID of the wellbore. It's purely about the ID of the wellbore. Next is the fluid properties, where you input your mud or fluid properties. Next we go to the surveys tab. This is where you input your wellbore deviation data, and that will be used in the calculations. So you can input well plans, so for planned wells, actual surveys, or in the case where you're using this for survey correction, we can input raw surveys as well for the correction data. The next tab is engineering parameters. So this is where we input the parameters that we use for our models in the hydraulics and in the torque and drag calculations. Next tab is drilling data. So this is where we can put in real world data, which will then overlay on our charts and plots with the model data, so you can make comparisons of the two. And then we have our cementing tab, where you would input data relevant to a cement job. Okay, so that's the general description of the tabs. Then we have file menu with generic file outputs, open, save, print, export, and exit. Units is where you would select the units for the specific items within any engineering calculation. Options give a detailed selection of different sub-options within the hydraulics, sag, torque and drag, cementing, for example. Tools are additional functionality within the software, such as the component catalog, for example, which when opened gives you a library of drill string components, dimensions, and limitations. Calculate is where once you've input all your data, you'd hit these buttons and the software would run the calculations for you. Plots gives you a plot representation of your survey data. Survey correction results are the results once we've run the survey correction data. Hydraulics results, again self-explanatory, we have charts and the table data as well as summaries. Torque and drag, again charts and table data and summaries. And then the help file. And help opens up a detailed explanation and breakdown of the functionality of the software. Also it gives you your version number. Documentation folder. This is comes with the standard install and is located in the install directory, but can be accessed from here. Wide range of documentation. Open the location of your project folder, i.e. our iEng file, so it opens it up on the desktop. Check for update takes us to our website to download the latest version, and then license info and screen info. So that is a very quick introduction to Innova Engineering and its general layout.